boss battle where the winner of the whole tournament will go on to face EG Idra for these GT660s that we are currently using to broadcast our Starcraft, and it does look like we are hopping into the game.
And in the top left, in a very close spawning position, we have Slush as the red Zerg, and in the top right, we have Blur as the blue Terran. Ordinarily, we would talk about things like the close distances and talk about how, just looking at the mini-map, a lot of expansions, but I don't even think it will get to that expanding phase. We've seen Slush have a lot of crazy, cheesy tricks up his sleeve. We've seen Blur have a lot of crazy one-base aggression up his sleeve. I would bet that Slush is just going to straight up gas, pool, Baneling bust.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for him. Additionally, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for Blur to go for some sort of a bunker rush. We've seen many a Zerg fall down on this particular map because of those, and the positions would allow something like that to actually happen. Additionally, if it does go to a later game, of course, that back expansion where you've got to take down the rocks is going to be a little bit vulnerable to the Terran Blur. So we'll be looking here at the full screen as we do see a drone going out on 14. Could just be the scout, and it looks like it is. So will he put down gas or pool quite yet?
There's the gas going down for ROOT.Slush as the gas guys are coming up for Blur. He now has enough money to, it looks like Blur is, again, he's a very tech-focused player, wants to get that gas up quickly, but Slush is gearing up to build a pool about now. No, he's still making drones. This actually is quite indicative of some sort of Baneling all-in. Might seem weird to say that, but the idea is you get this gas very early, and then you get as many drones as you're going to need for the rest of the game. So you have the perfect economy for that one base all-in. On the other hand, Blur is going for very fast re-wall, and he's actually walling himself off before he ends up getting his orbital command. I would say that that's because he wants the second geyser to be safe and sound early on.
So Slush scouted and then went to the other location, then went to the tower, and came back down to chase his opponent. What is he doing?
I think he's still trying to throw his opponent off from this all-in. As we can see, all these larvae are being saved up. Overlord being built on 15. Now he's pulling guys off gas. I'm pretty sure that these will be thrown back on gas. The speed should be going down really soon. Looks like it's not been thrown down quite yet. Perhaps we could see a Roach Warren after these come out. I mean, there's the speed going down there. Okay, everything's pretty normal in the world. Factory coming up from Blur. We're definitely going to have to see how these players want to play it out.
Still a little confused by what this drone is doing at the south position, but we might be able to see what goes on a little bit later. And we are going to be checking through the back. Oh, right. He's going to hide it again. There it is. So, what do you call that? The suicidal Baneling nest to give you just enough time to get some Banes out, and after that, it's over.
I have no idea what this is called. It should definitely get a fancy name. Again, you build the hatch. When you cancel it, there's a little bit of creep underneath it, so you can then build the Baneling nest right there. I've seen a lot of fun action where players build the hatch and then the Evo chamber right at the front door of the Terran and pick off the units with broodlings. But it looks like Blur is going to be walling himself off quite thoroughly. But as we've seen, that's never stopped Slush before, so he's just going to be building Zerglings, going to be, in fact, spreading creep at this point in the game. No, probably just backing off to pick off a scouting worker.
Now, the only thing he's not going to have here with this bust, of course, is going to be any sort of speed on the Banelings. There also is a Hellion out, and there's a pretty epic wall here for Blur. So he has an idea that this could indeed be a possibility. A lot of Lings moving out, and there is enough gas for about 8 Banelings now, as he did put a few more on. So he's going to actually move through the lower edges of the map, morph his Banelings in a different location, and then move up to the ramp, and we'll have to see how this will go. Right now, Baneling has 550 hit points, so he's got to make a move here soon.
You know, really, honestly, I think Blur's playing this perfectly. He's just saying, I don't care what my old game plan was, I am going to just have units jammed in here. Look, he's even going to scoot these guys out, maybe even put in another add-on. No, he's going to build another supply depot. So we're about 3.5 layers deep. There's a ton of Banelings getting morphed. This Baneling nest is now at around half health. This is looking pretty thin for Slush. Again, he's committing himself to the all-in, but it's just so hard to prevent the Banelings from making contact that maybe even walling off with more racks instead of depots would be wise at this phase.
Yeah, it's got to come soon enough, too. He might just see how many Banelings he can morph before that thing goes down and go for, like, literally a complete all-in on that. He's going to have his first tank pop as well. A lot of Marines out there, so more Zerglings going to move up to this ramp. Might be able to take out a few of these scouting guys. More Zerglings coming out here, and we got a lot of Banes. How many Banes total here? 15 total for Slush.
And it looks like he hasn't yet moved out with them. He's very close to letting this Baneling nest die. It's about third health now, rapidly approaching a quarter health, and it looks like this is the timing that Slush has been waiting for. He has 15 Banelings. He can use 5 to kill each depot. He can even pick off this reactor, and then he's starting to go up. He's going to have to pick one side and commit to it.
Oh, no.
He goes for the barracks, and it looks like he's going to squeeze in and kill off one, but no, he doesn't quite make it through. Blur with the kill zone, but Slush very, very nearly breaks in. He may very well lift off his factory and re-land it there just to complete the wall off, but this is such an awkward position, and holy thank God for the mature language filter.
Yeah, Slush says, I'm sorry, short on time. And yeah, he's going to be even shorter on time now because this Baneling nest is about ready to die any moment. He is going to expand over here by the Baneling nest, and there it goes. And its final hit points. We hear some Hellions moving out to the field. We do have a surround by the Speedlings.
And ow, how tragic. The one thing that is nice is that because Blur lost so many Marines in that early attack, he does not really have the ability to be aggressive anytime soon. As we can see, Blur is in Super Turtle Town mode, just building up a lot of tanks, already getting the starport to begin producing medevacs, so it looks like it's going to be yet another big one-base push, and this may very well go on to Game 5. Oh, look, Slush building his second Baneling nest of the game.
Yes, there it is. And I don't even know that he scouted that base at all. If that was even worth it to put it over there. He could be still making Banelings right now or setting up for a second attack. Looks like we have a drop coming out here as the medevac loaded up with 2 siege tanks making its way over to the cliff here. If you put them right on the edge, you can actually hit both of those locations at once. You will also see there is no current hatchery there, so...
No expanding coming up from ROOT.Slush because he is hiding down by this natural expansion. A little bit smarter of a choice, a little bit safer of a choice as it is far away from his opponent. But as far away as you can get, and still it's going to be about as easy to defend as if it were his regular natural expansion. And it looks like Blur trying to find something to attack, but what he is going to find is that there is not much going on. He is now getting the Baneling speed and more Banelings. Looks like he is gearing up to move down through all of these expansions, just going to scout all of them out. He knows that no anti-air is on the field, so he can move completely safely.
I don't know that we're going to have to see. He might be in a flight pattern that could... No, he'll hit it on this one. He must have changed it up.
Yeah,
there,
it looks like he spotted a little bit of creep, and now he's going to go up to this high ground and begin a push from here.
Yep, we got some links, and Baneling's trying to move out and do anything, but they're going to be really hard up once they get within that siege range. So, if anything, just like a deterrent here for the Zerg, like, you're not going to do anything because I'm going to mess you up, and he does not even know about those siege tanks. So as he reacts to this, it's going to be pretty nasty because he'll take a lot of damage.
Looks like he is now moving the siege tank forward, trying to abuse this little high ground, low ground, but it looks like Slush is carefully repositioning. Has a lot more Zerglings pouring down. Spire, pretty close to finishing in the resource station. We see that Blur is really far ahead. He rushes up with the Banelings, picks off the tank, pulls back, but he was unable to pick off these Marines. This high ground ledge is so difficult to exploit. And in the meantime, look at Blur's macro. He has so many units, but he is deciding that he is going to go for a little bit more of the drop tech play. Got to be really careful, though, because the Spire is just now finishing 4 Slush.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Army tab, it's 700 to 2,600 and 56 food to 89 food. Really not, I mean, obviously Slush put himself behind a lot he chose to do. But at this point, I think Blur can go ahead and keep going with things and be completely fine, just minimizing any mistakes. I think it should win him the game.
Blur really should gear up to do a straight front push because of the fact that his opponent is having these cute little tiny forces all over the place. If Blur tries to do cute little tiny drops, he will always be on the losing end of things, but a big drop like this is going to be virtually impossible to hold off.
And here comes the main force of Blur. He's got a lot of medevacs, several tanks as well, and here is exactly that push I think that you were talking about off of one base, because this lower base hasn't been doing much of anything. Here he's going to move into position, siege up. This could be all she wrote, and we might go to a 5th and final game.
Kind of funny that both of these players have flights to catch later on. Blur going to Cuba, apparently. And it turns out Slush also going on a little bit of Christmas vacation himself. And they are ending up themselves in some very intense matches. The Mutalisk now trying to poke around, but not enough to pick off those SCVs. And it looks like the Lings and Banelings trying to gear up from behind. But the Siege tanks really well positioned will pick off all the Banelings, do no damage. And Slush is in a horrific position. Blur is now going to get to just walk into the main of ROOT.Slush completely uncontested, pick this off, and Blur, who has held off the amazing Baneling bus, is going to go on to a Game 5 on Metalopolis.
All right, well that was pretty nicely done by Blur. You know, Slush had the right idea. We've seen other players be effective with those Baneling busts like that, but Blur, his spidey sense was a tingling, and he was ready for that. Maybe that's just the new style versus Zerg. Is like, you know, yeah, I'm going to wall off, but then I'm going to create Fort Knox behind it and just not let you get through.